fault.
But we are into picks and bans for the eSKT versus PapaPls game, and I think we can three-man this. Why not?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All
All
right,
right, we'll
no
do a
one's
little bit of
really,
try casting.
yeah. In game, we'll probably go back to duo, but I think a lot of people, a lot of different personalities here. We can come up with really cool insights on as to what these guys decide to pick and ban. So we'll just wait for the first couple of people to come in and see what's up.
Yeah, so like you know these teams probably better than the two of us. You've probably seen both of them play, correct?
And I've played against both these teams, and this is a match that I am definitely excited to see. Papa, please. Well-known team as far as Zaiku, Wabi, Yepper. They're all friends of mine. They are previously probably the best team in Strife as far as they were known as Supernatural. They are a very good team that I'm excited to see them play against the other top-notch teams as far as Surreal Gaming and Flipside go. They're probably on par with all three of those teams. And then you have eSKT, which is another good team. They are an up-and-coming challenger team. They've had a lot of roster swaps, and I think that they are in the step. They're definitely progressing as far as their tactics, their strat calling. They're trying to get better and a good team cohesion. I know they've done a few roster swaps to try to strengthen their team as a whole. And I haven't seen their brand new team play. I know that they picked up a guy I think named Shock in the mid lane, and supposedly he's a decent player as well. So I'm interested to see how they fare up against a dominant team like Papa Please.
All right, well the game lobby is up, so you guys should be able to get in there while we go through picks and bans. Nothing has come out so far. So who, you've played against both these teams. What has been some of their favorite strategies?
As far as strategies go, I know that eSKT is a team that's working on their shot calling and strategy. They're more of a reactive shot calling than a proactive shot calling. I know that Papa Please is a very aggressive team as far as they try to put the pressure and rotations down early. So they're a very proactive shot calling team. I think the way to beat teams like that is to definitely be proactive yourself and kind of force them to make mistakes. But they have a huge hero pool, and I'm interested to see some of the picks that they do. Welby is a very well-known Carter player in the past, and I want to see Carter again. I really do. I think this is the first time they're going to be on stream since they last played, and I think the Carter pick would be very much so like out of retirement. Let's pull out the Carter and show you why I was the best Carter back in the day.
All right, so again, we're just waiting for these guys to figure out what they want to pick and ban. So far, I think we're still trying to set up other sort of things, such as just getting everyone into the in-game lobby and whatnot. So as soon as that happens, I think we'll get the picks and bans started as soon as possible. So, in terms of picks and bans, do you have anything specific you think will be banned? We've been seeing a lot of Rook bans, and that one makes so much sense because he's extremely strong. And there we go, bans have started. So it looks like eSKT banned Bo out first, so they might be trying to go for the ban one, pick two tanks in terms of Bo, Bastion, and Claudessa.
I don't think they're able to do that because they are the first pick. They only get the one pick.
Right.
I
Forgot
think
about
that the
that.
Bo ban, it's fine. The Bo ban was, I think, a specific targeted ban towards Zaiku. Zaiku plays a really good tank, initiate. So does Wei. He plays a good support as well. So I'm assuming the Bo is definitely a target ban. I would have liked to. So there was multiple bans that they could have done. They could have taken Carter off the table. Carter's just a really strong hero. I think that they were definitely trying to limit the hard engage from Papa Please because they do have a couple really good bow players. And if you could take that super strong tank initiator off the table that has a really high skill cap, then I think eSKT feels they'll be in a better spot as far as being able to draft later into the game.
Definitely. So What do you think PapaPls is going to end up banning? Like, they haven't actually played their hand yet, but we're going to see it soon. But there are still quite a bit of high priority bans up. Like, Rook and Carter are both extremely strong, and it looks like they're going for the Carter ban instead, because Carter is, as we saw last game, there's just so much poke you can do with it from a long distance. You can basically kill someone just using your long range spells. So Carter is certainly one of the stronger champions in the game, but that also leaves Rook up. So do you think eSKT is going to...
eSKT has a few Rook players on the team. I know Ferret specifically really enjoys playing the Rook. It's one of those fine balancing acts, right? Because if you pick Rook first, you're going to be out of the possible double pick tanks, so that may set you behind, which I think eSKT was already prepared for. That's why they first picked the Bastion. But while doing that, PapaPls was like, okay, that's fine. We'll go ahead and pick up that strong hero in Rook. But there's still other really strong heroes on the board that eSKT can grab.
So is there a good bow player on eSKT? Because it seems weird that they would ban the bow and then sort of leave themselves up to suffer the, alright, we have to pick a tank now, or they're going to double pick a tank, but if we do, we're giving them Rook. So they kind of stepped into that themselves. Do they perhaps have a bow player that they could have used to take bow away instead of banning him?
I think that the bow was just such a target ban. They didn't want PapaPls to have the bow, regardless of anything, because a
Even if
really
they
good
first
bow
pick it?
player, even if they first pick it, because Bastion's just one of those strong heroes that eSKT does have a few Bastion players, and I think that's the reason why they went for that strat, is they definitely wanted to force the hand of, here, you take Claudessa, we're going to put our player on Bastion because we have a really good Bastion player. They can play Bastion in multiple lanes as well. That's definitely not uncommon coming from eSKT. So it's not out of the realm of that target ban bow. We picked our Bastion. Now you're stuck with the Claudessa, which isn't a bad either, because you can run multiple heroes with Claudessa as far as initiation goes.
Ooh, such as Malady. Malady can dash in and make picks with rocket boots, so that's something that could potentially give them good pick potential, good initiation, and as we see, they've already picked the Rook, whose ultimate is also a good ability to use for both picking and for initiating team fights. So it's really easy for either Claudessa or Malady to follow up on that, especially given how much range it has. So the team comp over for PapaPls, really good at getting picks so far, and they also have a lot of damage to boot. I think at this point, you know, I'm not sure who would round out the end of their comp. Uh, Maybe we might see a Tinder. We might also see a someone like a Hale. Either of those can do a really good job of following up, and they also give the team overall a little bit more utility.
I'm willing to bet that PapaPls comes out with a Tinder pick as their last pick to kind of round it off. And the fact that they're probably going to send the Rook bottom, Malady Claudessa mid, Tinder Fetter top. They do have a good Tinder player. Wei was one of the better Tinder players back in the day, early closed beta. He was one of the people that actually made Tinder a well-known, viable, competitive pick.
Alright, cool. So it looks like eSKT going for an ace pick, actually. Now, you were talking about this a bit earlier and how he has a really low win rate in competitive play. So, what do you think they're trying to do with ace in this respect? Because they do have a good deal of lockdown, enough to allow ace to get in the middle of a fight. But, you know, just what overall do you think about the ace?
I think that Ace right now, he's gotten quite a few buffs consistently with back-to-back patches. I think the best way to play that Ace is he can't be your initiator. He's got to be someone that comes in from the side and kind of flanks your backline, does as much damage as possible, and tries to break some of that CC. So it's very common for an ace to run something like a pincer to try to be able to get into the fight, stay in the fight, not get hexbaned out, not get CC'd out. And if he can do that efficiently, I could see ace being viable, especially with bow off the board. Bow's a really good hard engage kind of counter to that ace, because ace's only way in is the jump or either run in and try to side flank. And the bow can actually either hard initiate with his W, kind of proc ultimate ace back into the carries and get that AoE stun off. So ace just doesn't do well against a bow hard engage comp. But now that that's off the board, I'm actually interested to see how they play the ace and whether it works out in the later game.
Alright, and it looks like their last pick is going to be Hale, so I really don't see PapaPls picking many other people other than Tinder. Tinder is just the thing that can really round out their comp the most, and they already have a ton of damage on their team. If they just get a little bit of utility, that would be great. Is there anyone else you see possibly picked by PapaPls other than Lady Tinder?
Yeah, you can run multiple things with as far as not picking the Tinder. You can definitely pick a Trixie or Vex, but I think that the Tinder right now is probably the strongest pick and rounds out their comp the best. Tinder has good peel. She definitely kind of rushes some of those utility items like a Wind Rush. He does have the shield that gives the attack speed to Fetter and Rook. Mainly you're going to put that on the Fetterstone to try to buff his ultimate burst. I think that the Tinder play or the Tinder pick is probably going to be a priority pick over any other ones.
Alright, and we also have a straw poll up, so people can start voting on which team they think will win, and we'll be talking about who actually got the most votes once we get into game. And Trixie, you know, I was actually thinking just a little bit that Trixie might be a pick simply because she's got so much extra follow-up CC. If, say, Rook or Malady lands some of their big AoE abilities, or just big stun abilities rather, then we can also see a really good follow-up from the Trixie's ultimate. But generally, Trixie's ultimate is something that's hard to land if no one's CC'd, but if there's just like a slow or something that happened beforehand, or if they all dive onto one of your carries, then it's really, really good as like a counter engage or a follow-up engage. So I'm actually not too surprised to see the Trixie.
Yeah, they did have the change actually recently to the Trixie Ultimate where it reduced the magic armor by a percentage, and actually I think it maxed out to a 3-second disable, which is extremely strong. 3 seconds in a team fight of Strife is a very, very long time, considering that the burst mechanics of Strife is just, it means so much to not be disabled during these fights. So I think the Trixie is a very good support pick.
All right.
So, Lake, have you gotten the invite to game?
I have not.
Let me see if I can get that resent.
Is it,
Should be in the lobby if you can find it. I'm not sure if it's password protected.
I think it's not public because I tried to look for it before and I couldn't find it, so I just got in through the invite.
Can you search private?
I don't know. I'm not that used to the spectator everything or custom game system in Strife. I'm not a pro player and I have not set up scrims or anything like that. But yeah, so basically these comps, both of them have at least one tank, and overall eSKT has a little bit tankier lineup, even though they still have quite a bit of damage actually. But a lot of eSKT's lineup is going to be go in, stay in, go ham, YOLO, kill things. Like, both Ace and Hale have that same mentality of, I want to jump in the middle of them and just kill something. Whereas PapaPls, they're looking to use more of the range to their advantage, because every single person on that team except for Claudessa is ranged auto attacks, and 2 of them are ranged auto attack carries, and the other 2 do quite a bit of magic damage at range as well. So they have a lot of good kiting, and they have a lot of good just overall spread out team fighting. So it's going to be interesting to see how both of these teams react to that. Basically, PapaPls needs to be able to be they need to be on point with their peel and their kiting in order to make sure that they can keep their carries away from Ace and Hale, because eSKT has a really good sort of carry diving comp with those 2.
Yeah, but I think that Trixie was a huge overall, like, between Trixie and Malady, huge counter to the Ace Hale kind of jumping in. The Trixie ultimate followed up, either started by a Malady Q, the knockup, is a huge disengage with the wall, the ultimate from Trixie. There's just a lot of peel potential from PapaPls. Their comp is very well rounded. It does a good amount of damage, has good long range poke, has siege potential, has good engage, has good disengage. I do like PapaPls' comp as far as utility goes. It's very balanced. eSKT, as you said, is a very all-in type YOLO. They're going to rely on a lot of their picks, their ace kind of coming in, their hail, trying to get that initiation off. Essentially, that hail's job is strictly going to be to jump in or Q in, get his ultimate off, maybe a few auto attacks after that, and that's going to be where hail's life probably is going to end. Hopefully that's enough, followed with the Bastion ultimate, the jump in, the ace kind of side flanking, the Ray doing a good amount of peel with his stun, Vermilion using his ultimate to kind of reposition and stun some of those people diving him. There's going to be a lot of room for good counterplay between each of these team comps, and I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, one thing that's going to be hard for PapaPls is that they have to split up, but not too much, because if they get isolated, then eSKT is going to have their way. But if they clump up too much, and you say they have 3 or 4 people in relatively the same spot, you know, you set yourself up for Hale's ultimate, followed by Ace's, basically everything, like his big spinning axes, as well as Ray's. Ray's got a lot of AoE damage, and both Ray and Vermilion actually have like a line that they can hit people in. Vermilion can do it with auto attacks if he activates his abilities, and Ray can do it with his ultimate as well. So those are things that really benefit them when the enemy team is in a tight clump. So PapaPls is going to have to work their way around that positioning and make sure that they don't stay together too much, but also don't separate too much.
Yeah, absolutely. In all honesty, deep down inside, I want to see Ace do well. Like, I have not seen the Ace do well enough to where he's carried the early game and the late game. Last SPL finals, we actually played against Flipside Tactics, and they ran an Ace against us. He did well in the early game, but when it came to the late game of Ace, we specifically knew that all we had to do was start forcing team fights, and we had a superior team fight composition, which kind of forced that Ace to be in the mix and team fight with us, and we were able to shut down the fed Ace. And think that PapaPls' comp is definitely going to be able to do that.
Definitely. So a lot of it is going to come down to skill matchups, but in terms of early game, like, obviously you can't call exactly who's going in what lane. You can try, and you'll probably be pretty spot on, but who do you think overall has the early game in this game? Because we've seen a game where a team got off to an early start, but couldn't hold on to it, and we've also seen a game where a team got off to an early start, did good rotations in the mid-game, had a better comp, and just ended the game.
So Ace is going to rely so much on... So Ace's future relies on his early game. And I think that they're going to run an Ace Ray lane. To me, that makes the most sense. You have the CC. You want to get your Ace in a snowball-y type fashion, definitely in the early game, so you can scale into the mid-late game. He already has a hard time in that late game, so you can't fall behind early game. I feel like PapaPls' comp has the potential to play safe versus that Ace and not really give the kills that Ace is going to need. I think with that in mind, Ace is going to have to try to find kills possibly elsewhere outside of his lane, maybe doing a lot of roams and ganks. So as far as team composition goes, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and shame on me if I'm wrong, but eSKT is going to run Hail bottom, Ace Ray in one lane, Bastion Vermin another, and I think that's where they're going to go with their comp.
Alright, cool. So we are into the picking phase, so these teams are going to be selecting the heroes that they picked in the drafter, and we'll be getting into game in about 20 seconds. Once again, this is the Surreal Productions Strife Test Tournament number 1. This is the first time that we've run a tournament for Strife, so we'd love to hear your feedback, and anything we can do to improve, we'd definitely like to do it. We're running a big league in the future as well. Make sure you sign up for that, and this is all sponsored by WT Fast. Really good company there to make sure that you solidify your ping so that you don't have to deal with as much lag when you play on online games, which, you know, if you play at 60 ping, you can do really well. If you play at 100 ping, you can do really well, as long as you get used to it. What WT Fast does is it basically stabilizes it. So a lot of times people will have connection issues where, say, they're playing with 80 ping for 1 second, and then suddenly the game jumps to 200 ping, and then back down to 80, then maybe 100, or something like that. It fluctuates a lot. WT Fast reduces that by quite a bit, and it can really help because anyone, at least me, in my experience, I can get used to playing in 110 ping, I can get used to playing in 20 ping, but if it's not stable, that's the part that really ends up messing you up.
All right, well, we are into game. I've been silent for a long time. I bet everybody forgot I was here.
Ooh.
Welcome back, friend.
Yeah, I've been silent helping out the admins get everything up and running and making sure we had our lobbies clean.
I think they're going to remake here. It looks like everyone's kind of leaving to set up for a remake for some reason.
No.
Oh, no, we just got into game.
I can only assume it's I can only assume it is to move the server around again, as there have been server issues have been abundant as of today. There's been a couple of them, and again, guys, we apologize for this.
I accidentally logged out of Strife.
GG, no re. So I will inquire with admins and see if I can figure out what the plan is.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I figured it out. So what happened was they actually picked the wrong heroes going in, so that's why they have to remake.
Okay, well that's really not that bad.
Still your fault, Lake.
Ha! Not my fault.
I cannot help that.
My fault. That's the key. It wasn't my fault.
It'll be your fault next time, okay?
I'd really like to take people's hands and click for them sometimes, because some people make mistakes with pushing their middle finger or their pointer finger on a mouse button and doing the right thing. So I try to help sometimes, but it just works never.
Yeah, I can imagine that not really working out.
Alright, while we get the matches reset up, is there anything else you guys want to mention about just Strife in general? Because I think we might have some new players watching, because this game did just recently go into open beta, so anyone new who's just joining in, is there any sort of advice you want them to have as they start their Strife journey into the solo queues, or duo queues, or however many people they brought over? You know what I mean.
Coming from an experienced player, Strife is a very fun game that's easy to learn, but this is very cliche as far as the Strife promotion is gone. But it's easy to learn, but hard to master. There is a higher skill cap as far as competitive play goes, and you could see a huge disparity between some of the newer teams and the newer players and the high-end players. Regardless of you having this huge background in maybe League of Legends and D1, it definitely helps as far as having those mechanics. But coming in, this game is going to be really easy to learn, which allows some of those better players to pick this game up and start to excel a little quicker. And we're trying to help facilitate the newer teams coming in and starting this pro scene with our league starting in, I think the tournament is the 4th and 5th of October. So if you are a new player out there, you're definitely into the competitive scene and trying to make a name for yourself within Strife, get a team together, try to sign up. We are having a tournament that's going to establish the top 8 pro teams. So get going. There's plenty of things to do. The Strife Academy is another thing that's kind of helping those transition new players getting into the competitive scene, and just get as many games in as possible so you can kind of learn the overall mechanics of the game. Hopefully we'll have Strife HQ up here very soon, right, Source?
Yeah, don't look at me. Actually, I am working on that. We'll hopefully have that up soon. I was up at the wee hours of the morning working on Strife HQ, which is a guide site that was in Strife for a while. We went down due to maintenance and some server changing, moving around databases. We're hoping to get that back up again for you guys and get you guys as much cool guides made by top competitive players so you guys can level up your game.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I've actually had the privilege to look at some of the guides that are going to be put out there, as far as some of the best players in their specific heroes. They have some awesome guides, which I'm really excited to get out there. We just got to get the site up, ready to go. You can just learn so much about the hero mechanics and how to play them and what to do. They're just very well written. So stay tuned, guys. Strafe HQ will be there, available for your guys' pleasure to help you step your game up and kind of get inside the minds of some of the top pro players of Strife.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of the top pro players are definitely taking an initiative to help newer people understand the game. You guys at Surreal Gaming, we guys, but you guys are the team. But like, you know what I mean. Are
Yeah, absolutely.
doing quite a bit to make sure that newer players can get into the game. You teach them whatever they need to know, provide guides like that, and it's really great resource to have. So we're doing a very good job just sort of nurturing the Strife scene and getting new players into it. And I think tournaments like this definitely help, because the way we did this is that we discouraged teams that are already embedded in the pro scene from playing, so that newer teams can sort of get a foothold, get some scrim practice, get tournament practice, and overall just have the facility to get better. And that's one of the big things about a game like this, is that if the pro level scene is just cut off, then the lower level scene can practice with each other as much as they want, but it'll take so much longer for them to actually get to the level of the pro players before that happens. So if you get a bunch of tournaments involved where newer players can play, then that's going to help grow the scene quite a bit. So I'm really glad to be doing this and running these tournaments for Strife.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually, everyone's been asking, they want to see a Tinder guide. Like, a lot of people have been putting out some good guides. I know the Pion did a good video guide, but as far as like some of the Tinder play and mechanics and some of the good rotations that you can use Tinder for, I've been asked to put out a Tinder guide. So I've been working on my Tinder guide, and it should be up as soon as Strife HQ comes out. And I will make sure that I get it posted on my Twitter to kind of give you guys that, all right, it's out, here it is, and check it out. Here's different build options. Tinder's just a very versatile hero, and is kind of underestimated as far as competitive play goes. But once people start to see a good Tinder and the rotations and what you can do with it, people are like, wow, Tinder's OP. In my mind, she's not. It's a very strong hero that can be utilized very efficiently.
Alright, and we are finally back into the picks of the game. So just in a minute and a half, I believe, is when we're going to actually get into game. People saying, please pick the correct heroes. That definitely helps in terms of getting a game going. So, in returning to the polls, it looks like we have 64% of you voting for eSKT and 36% voting for PapaPls. So quite a bit of bias over in the favor of eSKT to win this game and head over to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna ask you guys, who do you think's gonna win this?
It's a good question. I don't really know these teams too well.
I'm throwing in for PapaPls. Done. PapaPls winning it all.
Oh, you're going with the statistical, and not even statistical, the polling underdog.
Yeah, I'm going with like full ham PapaPls taking it all the way to the end.
Oh, all the way to the bank.
Yep. See, I don't think the polls are exactly right. Like, I honestly think that PapaPls has the edge in this matchup. If eSKT actually wins, I would say that eSKT is the underdog in this matchup. So I guess we'll see here very, very soon.
I actually don't know anything. Like, I truly don't know which of these teams is supposed to win by comp, by past records. I just
well, by now you should probably get a gauge for the comp, right? Please? Maybe?
PapaPls should win by comp.
There you go.
In my opinion.
Yes, by comp, PapaPls should win, but I guess that's the beauty of Strife is comps don't exactly matter per se. You just have to have certain elements of a comp to make it efficient and successful. But as far as like which heroes play where and what to do, like that's what makes Strife cool. The versatility of the actual heroes and the lanes and the map. It's like art almost. So
Beautifully
beautiful.
done.
We are in game, so everyone has connected, so we will actually be seeing this game finally start off and see where this is going. So I think, personally, I do want to see, in terms of the whole tournament, I do kind of want to see New Team take it away. I think that would be a really fun outcome of the game. So nothing quite cheeky as we saw for the last two games. We actually saw a big stack in this middle bush, but it looks like neither team is going to be doing that. eSKT making sure they keep control of their own sentry towers, observatory towers.
Yeah, very safe, kind of standard. As far as the comps go, definitely exactly what I expected with the Featherstone Trixie in the top lane. You have the Vern Bastion in the top lane, and that Ace Ray. I think the Ace Ray has the potential to get some kills and kind of snowball the Ace within this mid lane. But it's definitely going to be a tricky matchup as far as having the Malady be in there to disengage with the Q. Claudette is a fairly tanky hero with the heal. It's really hard for eSKT to burst down this mid lane.
Yep, so we did decide to go YOLO, and we're going to try cast this, but I think we can do it. We got some good personalities here, and we work quite well together, so we're going to get into that, and, you know, just again, YOLO it. YOLOing it's always fun.
YOLOing it's only fun if you succeed in YOLOing. A little bit of damage and aggression there in the mid lane, but I don't think we'll see too many fights, actually. A nice hook back onto Ray. He's going to take a bunch of damage. And, I mean, early damage like this is just going to get healed through on a potion, so we probably won't see too many huge fights until, you know, people hit level 2. But a little bit of aggression up in the top lane from this Trixie Featherstone lane.
Yep, a little bit of just poking out all around bot lane. We see both players at about half health. Level 2 advantage goes to Rook, but he doesn't have enough time to do anything with it, so unfortunately he's not going to be able to
dashes forward, though.
Oh yeah, he does get quite a bit of damage down.
He can get pretty aggressive onto a Hail.
Definitely, and towards the mid lane, nice hook back.
Oh my god, up in top lane, this Trixie! She's burned straight through Vermilion like it was nothing.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Ace is going to be taken down fairly low. One last claw swipe will end up taking it. Meanwhile, Malady goes down really low, but the bomb does not quite finish her. So very good job on those parts, and so far we're seeing a 2-kill advantage over on the side of... Wait, damn, I forgot to change the... No, it's
Wait,
not
did they swap sides?
They swap sides. I forgot to switch that out. One sec.
Okay, so that's PapaPls.
Yeah, just let me do this real quick.
Yeah, so as far as the lane matchup goes, the Featherstone Trixie has a large amount of kind of poke potential with the shield poke, and then the long range coming out of the laser, or coming from the laser of Trixie and the pot shots. So it's going to be a really hard lane to kind of win in the poke. The only advantage that eSKT has in this top lane is this hard engage and kind of that level 6. And that's kind of what they're trying to stall it out for.
Yeah, good damage coming out from Trixie. She's going to drop both of them pretty low. Takes the chi shot to the face, but I don't think they're going to be able to engage on her too much, like you said, until they hit that level 6. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, again, another duel coming out. eSKT taking a ton of damage. Nice stun coming out from the Ray. He's going to slow down the Malady's advance. And down in the bottom lane, let's take a look at the advantage. 375 for the... and
oh, wow.
330.
Really quick kill in the mid lane. Just a lot of burst damage. We actually didn't even get to catch that. I feel like it was just Malady running up, spamming things, and then Claudessa following up, because they do have quite a bit of burst damage between the two of them. Especially, is she maxing the claw? Yes, she is. So Claudessa's maxing the claw, so that's going to give her a lot of extra burst.
Yeah, aggressive step forward. Nice hook back onto the Ace. He's going to take a little bit of damage, but he's too tanky for them to burn down just yet. And meanwhile, up in top lane, this Vermilion is really low. I think if Trixie lands a little bit more damage, they may be able to start diving.
Perhaps, but we'll see how that lane turns out as well. So far, it looks like every single member of PapaPls is ahead in GPM of every single member of eSKT, and ooh, a nice pull right there. They're going to be going for the dash forward. Malady gets the knock up, taken down really low, but a nice stun coming out is just barely going to save his life.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be extremely tough for this ace to get that snowball. He's going to be hurting coming into the mid game. He's not going to get where he needs to be. A lot of times you'll see the ace kind of build that Reaper Scythe and try to get those stacks and put the hurting on the opposing team. But it's just they're getting just pressured so much by Zyku's Malady play that Ace just really kind of needs to cut his losses in this mid lane and find kills elsewhere.
Yep, up in the top lane, you know, the middle lane going very, very well in terms of PapaPls. eSKT doing a little bit better here in the top. Their GPM is pretty low, but they're doing an okay job of keeping up, you know, at least in experience. They're not too far behind. Bastion is level 5, but I think the gold disparity is starting to become a problem. That tower is going really, really low.
And so far, we're already seeing 3 kill advantage, 3-0 in favor of PapaPls, so it looks like they're taking the early game quite handily, especially since all of their GPMs are still ahead of all of eSKT's GPMs. So it looks like we have a little bit of action in the bottom lane. Rook gets taken down a little bit low, and top lane, ooh, reinitiation by Bastion.
Ooh, Trixie doing a ton of damage. Bastion very, very low. That Cauldron's going to tick twice, and is going to be the dash forward. They aren't able to get off enough damage. Featherstone went forward with that bounder, and he almost died for that. That was pretty aggressive. If the Vermilion could have turned around and thrown another ability, he might have picked up that kill. Rook is really, really low in the bottom lane. We're going to have to keep track of whether or not the play comes there. And that Malady is rotating up. Nice Cauldron comes through from that Malady. Or, not from the Malady, from the Trixie. She picks up that kill. And now we're looking at a huge dive. Dash forward by the Bastion. He's not able to land the stun onto Trixie. Malady coming in from the side. The Cauldron is going to hit and slow him down. Instant ultimate. Just bursts him out into oblivion. And that is going to be a kill pickup for the side of PapaPls. Things are starting to get a little bit out of control.
In the mid lane, Claudessa is going into a little bit of an engagement with Ace, but she actually comes out ahead, and it looks like Malady's being chased out by Vermilion. She's going to get almost caught right there, but she actually manages to use a tornado to try to disengage that, and no one ends up dying for the mid lane. But still, that is, again, farther and farther ahead PapaPls is getting in terms of the game. That is 5 kills to 0 at this point, and quite a few assists across the board as well, and we know assists actually give quite a lot of gold, just as much as kills do. So what do you think, Lake, that eSKT needs to do in order to get back into the game?
So eSKT does have the potential of kind of letting that ace roam around and get those kills. What they need to do is kind of hold out and really try to push some of these free advantages. So right now they're holding out in the mid lane. They're trying to do as best as possible between the Bastion and the Ray to clear those waves. And they're giving up this free farm in the top lane for their Verm. Definitely something they wanted to get. That's just a lot of farm that they're missing out on and kind of wasting as far as global gold goes.
Yeah, you always want to have some
damage in this middle lane.
Yeah, very nice there. Bot lane, they're taking that tower really low, as well as Hale is being taken down pretty low as well. It looks like they're going to be able to clear the wave just a little bit. Rook ultimate, they're going to try to dive the tower, however the tower's just doing too much damage. They're going to have to disengage. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they're looking to try to go for a dive as soon as the tower dies.
Yep, Vermilion very, very low. Trixie lining in that laser to try and pick up, get a little bit more damage down. The Ray does a really good job of almost picking up the Trixie, but they were able to bring down the Bastion in the middle of that fight. He got taken out towards the start, so continued pressure from PapaPls, and eSKT is completely on the defensive.
Yep,
this is one of those things I talked about as far as like defensive or reactive strat calling. This is what eSKT is doing. They're doing a lot of reactive strat calling. Instead, they could have had Vermilion in that top lane, pushing that wave all the way to tower, kind of putting pressure there to where someone would eventually have to kind of roam up there to deal with the Vermilion. Not only that, but you're getting that free farm on your Vermilion, who's sitting at 270 GPM right now, extremely low and not healthy as far as team comp goes, they really need that Verm to kind of be that sustained damage within their team.
Yeah, and he's just not getting enough farm in order to be fully proficient with it. Generally, the way farm is shared in this game, it's usually best to make sure you have someone in every lane unless you know that you're going to be able to... unless you know that having everybody in the same lane is going to benefit you in some way, either by it's the only way you can defend a tower from going down, or if you can force something on their side. If you can't do either of those things, then it's usually better to just have one person off to the side pushing one of the other lanes and getting the experience that the minions give, because otherwise you're just completely missing out on that, and it can end up being a really huge advantage. So eSKT is looking to be on the back foot. They're trying to engage something.
Yep, down goes that Bastion. He got absolutely destroyed there. They tried to rotate in all 5 members for eSKT, but Bastion stepped a little too far forward, took a lot of damage there. Now Featherstone has popped his ultimate. They're starting to do a lot of damage to that tower. Flip forward onto the Ray, but it's gonna be the Vermilion who gets destroyed. So much damage coming out of this Malady, as well as the Trixie. And I think just the burst damage is too high on the side of PapaPls. eSKT doesn't have the tank line to be able to handle it. Their biggest tank is that Ace and Bastion. And, you know, Bastion was getting absolutely destroyed. Bastion is going to get flipped forward, gets spun up by the Malady. In comes the Rook, throws his hook into the middle of that fight, doesn't decide to follow it up under the tower. And that's just going to be a ton of tower pressure coming in for the side of eSKT. Now Ace goes in onto the Featherstone, doesn't manage to catch him. He's going to pop those Fervor Boots to get out of the way. And it's going to be a rotation onto the Baldir for the side of PapaPls.
There's actually just been so much action happening in this game in terms of tower pushing and team fights that no one's really gone for Baldir yet. This is the first one of the game. eSKT is looking to do something about this.
In goes that Ace. He's going to get on top of the Rook, doing a little bit of damage. Nice blast in there from the Ray. And a nice ultimate out of the Trixie. He's going to lock down a number of members. Bastion very, very low. He's going to fall to the Malady. Now it looks like the Featherstone looking to bring down that Hail. It's going to be a nice Colchin that comes through, picks up the Vermilion, turning onto the Ace. They're going to get him as well. That's going to go over to the side of Claudessa. That is going to be a 4-for-1. They still pick up Baldir, and that's a huge gold swing in the favor of PapaPls.
It would have been nice to see a little bit more decisive shot calling right there, because we had a 1-for-1 trade right around here, and as soon as that trade happened, eSKT, you know, half of them kept fighting, and Ray and someone else decided to back off, say, alright, we can't fight this anymore, so they backed off, and it ended up being 2 people backing off and 2 people staying in the fight, which means that eSKT just didn't have enough manpower to win the fight, and they ended up losing a couple of people to their down there as well, so they're looking like they're really on the back foot in this game.
Yeah, I think the main reason why eSKT's on their back foot is they played such a reactive strat. They could have actually got some of the farm that they needed on their carries, but they were leaving these side lanes out, putting everyone in the mid lane. It doesn't take all 4 or all 5 people to be in that mid lane to defend against 5 people pushing a tower. It's not like they have the largest or best hard engage coming out of PapaPls. They do have a good poke comp, but they're just sitting here in the mid lane, just keep continuing to siege these towers.
Yeah,
another middle tower going down.
So definitely in Strife, you need to take advantage of the fact that you can get farm and other global gold while giving up some objectives. It's definitely one of those things where you got to be conscious of what you're trading, and if the trade works out for you. So in the meantime, they could have definitely been pushing top and bottom tower, maybe got some towers, and they're getting free farm on top of it, and I would be okay with losing 1 tower.
Oh, here's the engage. Hail gonna try and come in with his ultimate. He's gonna get a bunch of knockouts, but a nice Trixie ultimate locks down all 3 engagers. The Hail, the Bastion, and the Ace get instantly destroyed. The backline blown up by the Rook and the Malady. That was just so destructive. That's gonna be another inner tower. They may even be able to get some damage down onto this generator.
And again, I saw a little bit too much in terms of indecisiveness on that call. As you're saying, they don't seem to be too proactive about it. And basically what we saw there was Bastion went in, he tried to get some CC down, he tried to zone someone, but the rest of eSKT wasn't actually able to follow up on it. The rest of eSKT just either they didn't know it was happening or they didn't think it was a good idea, but Groove Train actually ended up just going in, and there was no one there to support him, so he ended up dying after that, and oh my god, this high ground ambush.
Oh my god, this high ground. Instantly onto the Bastion. He's destroyed Ace into the backline, taking a ton of damage. A nice race stun is going to slow them down, but there's no damage there. Hale was on the backside. He couldn't go in. The ultimate wasn't there for the engagement, and that is going to be the tanks getting blown up. The carries left to their own devices, and probably a little bit more of a push. No, it's going to be PapaPls backing up. Going to go spend some of that gold they've picked up by taking out so many objectives so quickly.
So we've talked about why, what could be better about eSKT, but let's talk for a minute. Lake, what do you think PapaPls, like, what do you think is the thing that they're doing the best in order to get their lead, to keep it, and to close out this game? Like, what are they doing super well?
So what they're doing is they're actually taking that early game advantage that they've had, realizing that eSKT is trying to react to a lot of their stuff. So they're playing that, what I said, the proactive strat calling. They are, okay, if you're going to send 4 people in the mid lane to kind of defend against our 4, then we're going to rotate one down and start taking other towers. So while they were sitting there stalling out in the mid lane, they actually were able to get bot tower on top of it. So they were doing these strategic, purposely forcing eSKT to react and then counter pushing another lane. And eSKT is just playing such a reactionary type tactic that they're not able to actually take advantage of anything on the map.
Definitely.
So that's one of the things PapaPls is good at. Good teams have good rotations, and they kind of preemptively set up a lot of their rotations, which PapaPls has shown. They've done a good rotation top lane with Malady going in, kind of getting the kill with the ultimate, and then taking the tower. They've done a rotation where they've sent a few people mid, got mid tower. Once eSKT reacted with multiple people in mid, they sent another person bottom to get bot
another
tower.
high ground fight. Ace walks right into it, gonna get destroyed, gets hit with the ultimate coming out of the Rook. They're gonna get burned down, and I don't know why they're walking their tanks right up to their deaths.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But that's another really good example of what you can do with rotations, because as we saw, PapaPls, they went top, they rotated mid, they just kept rotating around, and this one time, they decided to go for a fake rotate. They all suddenly disappear, but they don't actually go to the next lane. They just assume that eSKT is going to follow them and try to counter-rotate. That's going to give them a pick and a free Syndara on top of that, which is something that you see in high-level League of Legends a lot, and I think it actually works better in Strife as well, because so much of this game, like you said, is about those rotations, and if you can make plays like that, rotations are the thing that allows you to catch people off guard and make picks.
Yeah, I think so. My disclaimer for eSKT right now is this is not the full eSKT roster. This is just a few of the eSKT members with a few of the friends from Strife Academy and random friends, and they're setting back up for this high ground again.
The hell, getting destroyed. It's just, it's a formula. Sit in this bush and things will walk towards you.
I'm actually extremely shocked. Like, they have been, PapaPls has been camping this high ground, and almost in the same spot. This bottom side high ground has been the death of, I think, at least 3 tank face check deaths in a probably 3-minute period.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. And now they're going to be pushing down the middle generator with Syndara, or with Krytos actually, after killing Syndara. Oh my god, so much damage already from Poke, and here comes the
In
initiate.
goes the ace. This might be the fight they've been looking for. Out comes the ultimate from the hill. He's going to get locked down by the Trixie. Bastion is pushing back the carry, so this may give them a little bit of time, but there's nobody there as Vermilion was destroyed pretty much instantly. Ray never had a chance to step past the Krytos, and that is going to be Krytos jumping onto the Crux. A little bit more damage. All 5 members are up. Rook with the double kill. Goes invulnerable. A little bit more damage onto the hill. That's going to be the ace. One more shot. It will be the ace. Rook's going to pick that up, and that's going to be PapaPls moving on to the finals.
Very, very convincing game by PapaPls right there. Really good rotations, and they really worked their team comp the way they wanted to. As we were saying before, they have a super good team fight, and they did just that. And you know, one of the big things that they would have had to worry about in terms of team fighting is clumping up too much, because you have Hale's ultimate, Ace's spins, Bastion's ultimate, as well as Vermilion and Ray both have abilities that are not only, they're either AoE or they can shoot through people. So that was one of the things they had to worry about initially, but seeing as how far ahead they were by the mid game, it wasn't something that you necessarily had to be as proactive about.